Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala-s-salah, hayya ala-s-salah, hayya ala-l-falah, hayya ala-l-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. وقال عز وجل في مكان آخر: وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. وعن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: آتي باب الجنة يوم القيامة فأستفتح، فيقول الخازن: من أنت؟ فأقول: محمد. فيقول: بك أمرت لا أفتح لأحد قبل. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام، رواه مسلم. My dear respected elders, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We begin with the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we ask Him to send His peace and His blessings upon His noble messenger, our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and upon his family and upon his companions and upon all those who follow him until the end of time. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for each and every one of the blessings that He has granted to us. The blessings of life, the blessings of iman, the blessings of our health, the blessing of inviting us here on this day of Jumu'ah to His house to worship Him, the blessing of being able to see the beginning of the month of Sha'ban. In the verses that I recited here at the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in translation in Surah Ahzab that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is not the natural father of any of the men among you. Yet he is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets, and ever is Allah all-knowing of everything. And in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and so it is that we have now appointed you Muslims the chosen community of the middle path, to stand as witnesses to the revealed truth before all people, and for Muhammad, the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to be a witness before all of you. And Anas ibn Malik reports that the Prophet ﷺ once said to the closest meaning that I will come to the gate of paradise on the day of judgment, and I would seek its opening. And its guard will say, who are you? And I will say, Muhammad. He will then say, it is for you that I have been ordered not to open the door for anyone until you came. So my dear respected brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed this nation, has blessed the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and He has given it a very special status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His own eyes. He has spoiled us. And not only that, but when mankind was initially created, it was already honored. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He had already given us a certain privilege. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And certainly we have honored the children of Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored this human before it did any good. Before it stepped on the earth, before it made a single sajda. Its status was already lifted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He created this human being in a unique form, in the best design. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Certainly we created man in the fairest structure, or in the fairest stature. Now we know that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the universe, all He had to do was say kun, be, and it was done. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin that indeed His command when He intends anything is no more than to say be, and it is done, or it is so. So the creation of the human being was still between the command, or between the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but a special attention was paid to its development. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was done creating our father Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the angels to make sujood to it, ordered the angels to bow down to it. And in a story that we learn as children, we know that they all bowed down except for one jinn that was amongst them, except for Iblis al-Rajim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, what has given you the audacity to reject the offer, to reject my order to prostrate in front of Adam? Something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I made with my own hand, something that I paid special attention to the detail of its creation. So before a human being, before man did any good, before a single act of worship was performed, before anything was given in sadaqah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already elevated our status as mankind. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoils us, the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, even further. And He says particularly about this nation, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ, that you believers are the best community ever brought forth for the good of humankind. That this ummah is the ummah that all the other nations on the Day of Judgment will look at with envy. That they lived for only 60 years, but they walk into paradise with the Prophet ﷺ. In a summary of a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that paradise is forbidden upon all prophets until I enter paradise. And paradise is forbidden upon all nations until my nation enters paradise. What is it that makes this nation so special? What is it that grants us this privilege that we will enter paradise, even though we were created last, even though we came as the final ummah, that we enter paradise as the first ummah? What is it that made the other prophets of the past, alayhim as-salam, that when they heard about this ummah that was to come, that they asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make me the prophet for this ummah. Allow me to be the one to lead them. When the Torah was revealed to Musa alayhi salam, he read it and he was impressed. And he noticed that there was a mention of the greatest ummah, of an ummah that was still to come. And he says, oh Allah, I see that there is a nation that is going to come, and they are going to come in the end. Again, this ummah that was at the very end, at the end of time. This ummah that struggles even in the month of Ramadan to pray tahajjud. This ummah that even in Ramadan when they're up for suhoor, they struggle to come to the masjid for fajr. This ummah that struggles to fulfill the basics, the fundamental basics of Islam. This ummah that prioritizes work and school over salah and siyam. This ummah that comes in the end, but Musa alayhi salam is saying, they will enter Jannah, they will enter paradise at the beginning. So make this nation my nation. Now we know the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us is going to be an extremely long day, that is going to be as 50,000 years. Now imagine if you're allowed to enter paradise right after the prophets, you're amongst the first to enter paradise, which means you're definitely not waiting until the end. It means we're definitely not waiting as long as everyone else on the outside. And Musa alayhi salam points out that this is an ummah that they will intercede and their intercession will be accepted. Now this is a privilege that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reserved for the angels, for the prophets, and for the shuhada. But Musa alayhi salam notes that the average people from this ummah will be allowed to intercede. That a hafiz from this ummah will be able to intercede on behalf of 10 people. That a scholar from this ummah will be able to intercede on behalf of 70 people. These are people who have been destined for the fire of hell. They will be able to intercede on their behalf, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept their intercession. So this is an ummah that is pampered with honors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam continues, he says, "Oh Allah, I see and I read of a nation that they will memorize their book, they will memorize the Quran, and they will recite it by memory. What an honor it is that we have been granted to listen to read and to admire the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To recite that book that is synonymous with the month of Ramadan, a month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named Himself." So when an ummati of the Prophet ﷺ picks up a mushaf and when he recites it out loud, it attracts that special attention from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It attracts the rahmah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what an honor it is to be from an ummah that can actually recite and read our book in its complete and unaltered form. A claim that none of the nations before us can make. So this is an ummah that has been blessed, and Musa alayhi salam says, "Oh Allah, give me this ummah." But Allah says, "No, this ummah has been reserved for Ahmad." So Musa alayhi salam continues, he says, "I see that a nation will come, they will give charity and their charity will be lawful for them to consume." That for the previous nations when they gave charity, that would have to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some form. But this ummah can give to itself, it can give to its poor, and their poor can consume it, and still the giver will receive the reward for that charity. Musa alayhi salam continues, he says that I see in these slates and these tablets that a nation will come, that if they even think of doing a good deed, if they intend to do a good deed, even if they're not able to perform that action, they will get the full reward for it. How many of us have made the intention to perform Hajj? Have made the intention to pay our zakah? Have made the intention to fast the month of Ramadan? This is why a believer's intentions are supposed to be high. Because regardless of whether we are able to complete that action or not, we are still rewarded for it. And he continues that if they do a good deed, that for one good deed for that ummah, their deed will be multiplied at a minimum of 10 times. So how can it be that our ones outnumber our tens? The scholars of the passage say that woe to that person whose ones outnumber his tens. What does that mean? That when a person performs a good action, when he performs hasanat, that it is multiplied in his book by 10 times. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiplies however much He wills. But when a member of this ummah performs a sin, that it is only recorded for him once. So how can it be that a person's those actions that are multiplied by 10 are still outnumbered by those actions that were only counted by 1 on the Day of Judgment? It means that that person sinned greater than 10 times greater than he performed good deeds, than he performed hasanat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from being such a person. But how misfortunate can that person be? So why are we so special? What is it about us, or what is it that we did that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted this ummah this blessing? Is it the color of our skin? Is it how good we look? Is it how much wealth we've amassed? Is it how advanced we are in science and technology? What is it about us? Because the nations before us exceeded us in all of these categories. The nations of Ad and Thamud, they were given bodies that we can't even dream of. The nation of Isa alayhi salam, they were the best doctors. What is it about us that makes us so special, that has granted us, that has earned us this privilege? It's that we associate ourselves with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that we associate ourselves with Habibullah, that we associate ourselves with the greatest of all creation, that we're related to him by being from his ummah. So it's not anything that we did. We didn't choose to come from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We didn't choose to be amongst those who say La ilaha illallah. That in and of itself is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us, that we are from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that still we are Muslims, and on top of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses those who come from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has given a special favor to them. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, and Imam Tirmidhi recorded this, so in the summary of our hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me about my ummah that would come after me, that what should I do with them? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, told us that he told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are your creation, they are your slaves. You can do with them whatever you want to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, O Muhammad, I will send 70,000 people to paradise without hisab. And with every 1,000 of them that I send, I will send another 70,000. These are people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is just going to allow them to walk through without any hisab, without any questioning. Why? To make the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam happy, because we're from his ummah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that on the day of judgment, when everyone will be worried, I will be the first to come out of my grave. And when everyone is running around, when they're worried about their faith, I will be the one speaking. When they are sitting alone and they are sitting there depressed, that I will be the one to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their intercession. When they lose hope on that day, that I will be the one to give them hope. That I will fall in sajda, and this is a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. He's going to fall in sajda and beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For who? For us. Do we deserve the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do our actions make us deserving of that love? Does our love for him sallallahu alaihi wasallam make us deserving of that love? He will fall into sajda on that day and he will say, Ya Rabb, Ya Rabbi, ummati, ummati. And he says that I will praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that he has never been praised before. And he will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his ummah. For that ummah that the other prophets wanted. That ummah that neglected and forgot Allah. For that ummah the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will fall into sajda. And he will say, Ummati, Ummati, Ya Allah, my nation, my nation. And he will cry before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that he will say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, lift your head. Again, this is the Habib of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's sitting there in sajda crying on that day. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ has already been forgiven. There's nothing that he is going to be held accountable for ﷺ. He has already been guaranteed paradise ﷺ. And he's still sitting there crying on that day. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of the love for him, will tell him to rise. And he says, and he will tell him, ask. And what you ask for will be granted. Intercede, and your intercession will be accepted. So on that day when all humanity will be running around, terrified by that day, waiting for our accounting to start, humanity will turn to one person to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to begin the day of judgment. On that day when you and I will be saying nafsi, nafsi, we'll be worried about ourselves, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be saying ummati, ummati, my ummah, my ummah. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the fact that we can associate ourselves with him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That we have the opportunity to be his brothers sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because his status has already been elevated. Our words here do nothing to raise his status. Rather, our own status and our own words are elevated and raised by mentioning him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now this status that we have been granted, this opportunity that we have been granted, comes with responsibility. A responsibility to carry this message from country to country, from city to city, from generation to generation. And in the course of carrying out these responsibilities, we get opportunities from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We get opportunities that make our jobs easier. We get opportunities to raise our status in paradise. And we have an opportunity here today, and another one that follows in a few weeks, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. We know that the message of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is inculcated and is spread in the masajid and the madaris. Is spread in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the places of study. And being members of this community, we already know the services that this masjid provides to our community. We know that every day children come here to learn the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn and recite the Quran. We know that every day children come here and they learn their religion. They learn who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what are our responsibilities, what is halal, what is haram. That happens every day in this masjid. And also being from this community, we know that in the month of Ramadan, those are stepped up to another level. The iftar is provided every day. That during the last 10 nights, the masjid is open for i'tikaf. That huffaz who learned in our communities stand here and they lead us in salah, and they lead us in reciting the entire Quran. So we have an opportunity to be a part of that. We have an opportunity to contribute to making those things happen. So as we leave Jumu'ah here today, there's someone outside that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala will be standing there with a box. That is an opportunity not for that person to sit there and to gain hasanat. It is for him, but it's also an opportunity for us. That we can sit there and we can be a part of what happens here. And we can sit there and we can be a part of helping all of those who come here every night in Ramadan to break their fast, that we can gain a share in that reward. And the second opportunity that's to follow is that today is the 6th of Sha'ban, which means we are 3 weeks from the month of Ramadan. An opportunity of a lifetime. We know that the nations that came before us, they were given much longer lives. But we know that the average lifespan of this nation, that the Prophet ﷺ said that if someone lives to 60 years, that they have a full life, that they have lived a full life. So a nation that lives much less than the nations that came before, but a nation that will be able to enter paradise at the beginning. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed us to equalize the time that we missed out from the nations that came before by granting us Laylatul Qadr. An opportunity to gain a lifetime's worth of worship in one night. It's an opportunity for us to raise our status in paradise, and an opportunity for us to get a return that no investment can deliver. So if we leave with nothing today, let's leave with the reminder that we are from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that we are from the greatest ummah, and that we, in a few short weeks, will get an opportunity, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that people who were here with us last year will not have. And it's unfortunate that many of us, unfortunately, meet the month of Ramadan and we have failed to prepare. That Ramadan, that fasting is not just giving up food and drink. The Imam Ghazali rahimahullah said that a complete fast entails restraining every part of the body from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, dislikes. That you must protect the eye from looking at things that are disliked, the tongue from uttering that which does not concern you, and the ear from listening to that what Allah has forbidden. So we're here in Sha'ban, a month that the Prophet ﷺ used to refer to as the forgotten month. So not only should we prepare our hearts, but not only should we prepare our bodies, but we also need to prepare our hearts for the month of Ramadan. That Sha'ban was the month outside of Ramadan that the Prophet ﷺ would fast the most. So Osama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu once said to the Prophet ﷺ that I do not see you fast in the other months as much as you fast in Sha'ban. And to this the Prophet ﷺ replied to the closest meaning, that it is a month in which many people are unmindful of, that it falls between Rajab and Sha'ban. It is a month in which the deeds are presented to the Lord of the universe, and I like my deeds to be presented while I am fasting. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who reach the month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who are prepared for Ramadan when we reach it. We ask us to make Him amongst those who are able to witness Laylatul Qadr and that we have spent that night in worship. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our families. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to join us with the Prophet sallallahu, alayhi wasallam and his companions radiallahu ta'ala majma'een on the day of judgment and in Firdaus al-A'la. Allahumma ameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخرين. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروني ولا تكفرون.